Okay if we
There we go. Dr. Gabe.
yeah, sorry, I had trouble getting off mute. What's up, everybody?
That's okay.
Glad you all could attend this evening for us to do a debrief of our community meetings and for us to just tie up any loose ends as it relates to finishing strong on our community meetings. I do want to pitch it to Dr. Rollins because I know Dr. Rollins has some obligations, and then we will come back after that, if it's okay with everybody, and approve last month's community engagement meeting minutes. But Dr. Rollins, I will go ahead and give you the floor.
Sure, thank you all. So of course, I think most of the people that I see on this call, most of you all have been in most of the meetings. And so you're seeing how much fun we've had so far. I think it's a learning experience to say the least. And a few observations. The first thing I would say, and I plan on putting this in the report, is that, you know, these people are they're hurting. They're naturally hurting. They're hurting for a number of reasons. And so I really look at it, and when they are lashing out and what have you, I really look at it and I say, you know, I'll take some of this. While I don't personally deserve it, but I do understand these people are hurting, and these tax hikes and things that they're experiencing. I know, you all know, that these are just natural occurrences for those of us who own homes. You know, they just every so often they're going to come and reassess, and it happens. It just so happened that it happens around the same time all this other stuff is going on, and so I understand that frustration. I understand the hurt. Um, um, and I'm sorry, my son's over there. He started talking to me. So I think that's what I chalk a lot of the frustration up to. I mean, they're mad at other things, and this is added to it. Some of the meetings, particularly the one meeting, and I'm going to talk to you all about Russell, just did not go as planned. We didn't get through the notes. We didn't get through the questions, and we're going to have to improvise and I guess hopefully come back and circle back to that one when we do the April 2nd meeting to try to get some of the questions answered for that neighborhood, because this is what I'm thinking, what I'm envisioning. I'm envisioning the report having a breakdown by community as well as an overall, you know, here are the general themes, overall general themes that they're experiencing. And I can tell you all, for those of you who didn't know this, but after every meeting, I've stayed after every meeting and spoken with people who just want to continue the conversations. And I've learned so much. I've learned so much of why they were upset. And some of them, I'll give you one example. At the meeting on Friday night, and Shani, this lady who was at the front row, she was just very upset that we were having 9 different meetings, and she was just mad about it. And she was like, and y'all trying to divide us and conquer us and blah, 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 blah. And we have the same issues that they have in Algonquin, they have in what have you. And I said, no. I said, well, first of all, let me tell you this. Don't even blame that on the partnership. Now, I'm not taking all the partnership blame. I said, but that was really an Aaron's decision. I said, we could have easily done 3 big meetings. But you know what happens when you have those big meetings, those large meetings. You're going to have some loudmouths who are going to, you know, run the meeting in a direction that probably shouldn't be run. And so many people and things that wouldn't come out had we had just 3 big meetings. I said, I thought it was a good idea because of the uniqueness of the way the statute actually explains it, and because of the uniqueness of the neighborhood, to break them down into 9 different communities, because truthfully, they do have different needs. I mean, so while there are some overarching needs, everyone doesn't have the same problems and issues. I mean, it's just and she said, you know, I never thought about it like that. I said, let me give you an example. And so at that point, the young lady, I think she's from Somalia, don't quote me on the country, but the young lady that talked about the international stuff organization, she was right there. I said, can you imagine, this young lady probably wouldn't have spoken if we would have done 3 big meetings and just opened everybody in the West End, 1 or 2 or 3, whatever. And the young lady said, no. And I said, but I said, honestly, to be truthful, I probably could have written this report without having one of these meetings. I said, but you know what? Because I know the issues. I mean, we all know the issues. I said, but these meetings are to give these people an opportunity to talk and to hear from them and let them tell us what they think. which way, the direction they want to go. I said, and more importantly, had I written this meeting or had you written this report? Because she said, I could have written it too, that was our joke. I said, had we done it like that, well, I probably would have overlooked the international community that are in these neighborhoods that are coming in. And she said, I would have as well. And I said, that's the purpose. And at the very end of that, she was like, that's good. She said, you know what? The Lord told me to come talk to you individually as opposed to saying this in front of me. And she's the same person earlier in the meeting fussing about y'all keep doing the same thing. She said, the Lord. And so at the conclusion of that, the same thing happened when I went to Russell. After the Russell meeting, Miss Jackie and I stayed there easily for another 35 minutes, I think. And at the end, Miss Jackie said, well, people just want an apology. She said, it's like a relationship and you want to move on, but we ain't had an apology yet. I said, Miss Jackie, I don't mind apologizing because I said, while I don't know all the details and everything the people want the apologies for, she's mad about a number of things and she doesn't mind me saying it. I'll tell you our conversation. She's mad that Gerald Neal didn't actually write the legislation or didn't sign off and want to co-sponsor legislation. She's mad at some other people. I just remember that name. This and that. She's mad. I said, well, Miss Jackie, I understand your frustration about all those things. I said, but at this point, if we don't hear from Russell, Russell's voice won't go in the report. And she said, you're right. She was like, and she told me that she's going to come back to some of them. And I said, you're going to stand up there right there with me, aren't you? And she said, I'm going to stand there with you. So that's been happening after the meeting. So during the meetings, many people, they came to these meetings and they were expecting one thing. They were expected to fuss and they were expected to vent and to complain. And of course, those of you all who've been around, we've experienced that. But also, I think the beauty, some of y'all may see this, but some of the things that's happening after the meetings, even some of the people who are coming, one young lady, what's her name, Amira, I think her name? I can't think, don't quote me, but she not spoken on the phone at least twice. She's one of the ones I can't think. Don't call her name. Don't call me on the name right now. But we've had a very good conversation, and she's helped me move forward. And she said, "Aaron, give more time for the people that do this, or talk about this, or make sure you say this." And during the meeting, at this previous meeting, Shani, I think we went probably 25 minutes into the meeting of me just talking. And part of that was me saying, you know what? Let me explain. Let me put this in ways that I think these people can help understand what's happening here. That's why I gave the analogy of the slave Bible. And some of the people talking to me after the meeting about it. And I was just trying to say, hey, you all, we're doing it like this for these reasons. And that's kind of where we are. And I think and most of the people were very pleased after they heard at the two meetings that we did this. Miss Diane did it at the one at the church. I think that was Miss Allen's neighborhood. And then at this previous one, when they heard how detailed these notes are and how these note takers are taking very copious notes, I think it really calmed a lot of their angst down. I really do. I mean, you can just see the tension in the room. I can see. So of course I'm looking at the audience different than you all are because you all looking at me. But I can see the faces in the room, and she's going through there, right all their different points down. They know that they're being heard, they're being listened to, and they believe, and I do plan to get those notes into that report. Now, granted, it's not going to be as easy as I plan. I plan on going very detailed and, hey, answer me. Here's this question. Here's this question. It's going to take some work because I don't get. Of course, you all know, you all have been there. I don't get to all the questions because I can't. I can either stop people from talking or allow them to talk and some of you all may know this, but we had a conversation where some people reached out to the people at the university on me saying, he's not letting the people talk. He's not really, and I'm thinking, what? That's the last thing I want. But honestly, I'm Aaron. I'm fine. I'm gonna be all right. God got me. But I don't want the people to leave there thinking we're not going to give them opportunity to talk because some of the people simply just want to get their voices out there. So I believe, and you all can tell me your thoughts, but I believe I learned so much from Russell and so much from talking to people outside of the meetings, Miss Jackie, and even the young lady from the previous meeting. I think we're getting to getting the questions answered, but I just hope, I pray to God that you all share, those of you who've been at these meetings, when I say this to the full board, I hope to God you all share, if you all don't do right by these people, not only am I gonna haunt you all, y'all better do right by these people because I'm taking a lot of this heat and getting beat up a lot by these citizens. But I don't mind doing it because I really do genuinely think it's the right thing to do. I think it's right to let them talk, to let them vent. And if you all think differently, you all tell me. And I guess in the last week we probably will move differently. But I think I'm gonna try my best to get the information out from the questions, going through the different notes and seeing if I can pull this and put this in this part of the report. But it's not going to be as simple as I planned. And it's fine, you know, because those of you all who've been here, when you see the report, you're going to be able to say, yep, I can remember when this came up, you know, when that came up and what have you. And I don't mind being, I'm sorry, you, I have an HOA meeting and they're going to have a vote tonight. And I don't mind being a little late too. So I don't mind staying here and kind of discuss and going through it. But that's kind of my overview. Of course, we have our April 2nd meeting. I'll just talk about the timeline real quick. My game plan. April
Well, we
2nd.
have the one tomorrow first. You know, we have Chickasaw tomorrow.
Yeah, I was talking about April 2nd, the last one. That's the 10th one, right? April 2nd.
Yeah, that's the last one. Tomorrow we have
Right, yeah.
Chickasaw.
Right.
And then we have Thursday, Algonquin. And then a week from Thursday, we have Park Hill. And then that following Tuesday is the last one, April the 2nd, for the makeup meeting at the
Yes.
Y.
Right. I was just skipping to that one to say at the conclusion of that meeting. But yeah, I have them on my calendar. I promise I'm gonna be there.
Okay, I know you do.
But yeah, you're all right. I was there at the conclusion of the April 2nd meeting. I plan on convening with the team and getting them to help me probably a day or so after, help me working on. But prior to that meeting, I should say this. Prior to that meeting, I've already spoken with them. We're gonna have a list of most of the important issues, and I'm gonna kind of go through, not probably as long as Ms. Diane does, but go through and tell the people, hey, this is what we've gathered from the 9 meetings. Here's what I want this meeting to be about. I want you all to see if there's anything we're missing that's major, and I want you to hear and help me rank them because I'm not getting the rankings in the order that I want to get to you. I want those rankings. But I can say one thing that is coming out of these meetings that I think is good, something that I think is so important, is to hear from the people about the local heroes and the local nonprofits who are doing the work right now, just without the resources. I think it's important to hear those things and get that stuff in the report. So when you see, and I use this example, if you see Romaine's LLC, who's been doing work for 10 years and just hadn't got the resources, he doesn't have the same resources to have a really nice, well-written grant or proposal. But you know that the community members are saying, hey, Romaine LLC has been doing good for 10 years. I want you all to take that into consideration. And I plan on sending this to the full board because the community, they're saying this person or this group, they're doing good work. It's not Aaron, it's the group, it's the community saying that. And I think that's very important to point out. That's why I make sure, if nothing else, I get that question because those are the I call them the unsung heroes, the people who are already doing it, sometimes out of their own pocket, you know, doing some of the work that they're asking for. So if they ask for help, I do think the committee should know, the full board should know that these people are doing it. So at the conclusion of the April 2nd meeting, we're going to do that at that meeting. We're going to conclude that meeting, and I'm going to try very soon afterwards to get the team together and sit down and go through all these notes. But as you all know, it's a lot. It's a lot of notes, and they taking very, very detailed notes. So to try to push out a thing and put everything together into a clean format, it's going to be a tad bit more difficult than I initially anticipated, just because we're not getting through the questions. I mean, those of you all who've been there, you all know we just don't get to the questions as clean as I thought that we would. But that's kind of my overview, and I don't mind taking questions. Sure.
I know the committee's supposed to go first, but one of my observations and a major concern when you're presenting, not a concern with you, but just in terms of people being ready, like in the meeting, you talk about and you share how when this is all done, that people are gonna be lined up for proposals. And of course, you know, we're working on what that's going to look like and how those are going to be evaluated. My concern is really, will the folks in the community, like at the end of that April 2nd meeting, I'd like to see the people who are ready to go with a proposal. I mean, we've been at this for 2 years. My question in my head is, have they been putting in the work to be ready? You know, people have been talking about getting to this point. We're at this point. So I'm nervous about, will they be ready?
I guess that's not a question for me. I don't know.
Well, no, it's just that when I
Yeah.
hear you say in the meeting, you know, you say people are gonna be lining up for these proposals. What makes me think, yeah, a lot of people are, they're, you know, they're doing their homework and they're getting ready. But people who have concerns and issues and want to be at the table, and I know they're in these meetings, sharing their concerns, are they behind the scenes putting in the work to really be ready when the opportunity presents itself? Because Dr. Rollins, if folks are not ready, if they want to be ready and they're not ready, they're not putting in the time, that's going to add another layer of disappointment, hurt, or whatever. But I just think there's a responsibility for people who want to participate to put in the work to be ready when the opportunity presents itself. Does that make sense?
Without question. And let me tell you something else I think you all need to be thinking about. The board, yeah, y'all really need to be working. I'm telling the community engagement committee, but you all need to be thinking this because they want some housing, some funds for housing and what have you, even if it's homeowners. I know I've heard that several times. Home ownership, teaching people how to be homeowners and things like that. They want some programs and processes. And I'm just not sure that there's going to be somebody that come in and say, I can teach people home ownership. So you all might need to be looking at it to, oh, there you go. There's my realtor come on in here. There you go. Alicia, you and your group, y'all need to be thinking about how you all are going to deal with these type of things. Because I mean, once I give a report, they're going to be looking at you all like, all right, they want, but you're right. There's some people, I believe there's some that won't be ready. But I do know there's some things you all can be looking out and looking forward to dealing with day one. And I know home ownership is one that has come up in several of the meetings. And I just think you all need to be prepared and getting ready to at least start thinking about how you're going to deal with that, whether it's a class or fun. I don't know. That's for the board to decide. But I know that in the report you're going to hear that because it's come up and I know at least a few of the meetings I can remember just off the top of my head. And to that point, if they're not a homeowner now, they probably don't know what it takes to be a homeowner. It's a lot that goes into your first time home buyer, you know? So I don't know if they'll be ready, but I do know that you all should be thinking about that. Did you come on? I see your camera on, Alicia.
Good
Were you going to
question.
speak to that?
Who? Oh, Alicia?
No, I
Oh, I
wasn't.
thought you were coming on to come talk to me.
No, I just made it to my destination. I want to
got
pop on like I've been here.
I got you.
But no, you're exactly right. You're exactly right. There are certain things that do need to be planned out. Hopefully either planned or partnered up with someone that can help get it planned. But yeah.
But yeah, I'll take any other questions or thoughts. I wish you would stop doing this, Aaron. You keep doing this, or not. Tell me. I'm fine. I'm kind of, you know. Sure, Mike.
So I've got a couple. The first one is I think we need some kind of like wireless microphone or for places that don't have that. I think most of you guys know I have, hearing loss. I'm still pretty young. A lot of people that come to these events are much older. I've really struggled at Shawnee because of the high ceilings, and just the echo. So I could hear Dr. Rollins, but I couldn't hear most of the people speaking. So if that's something that we can rent for, I mean, tomorrow's too soon, but, and just maybe it's something we can look at for, we ought to have on hand if we're going to have these meetings.
Yep. That's a good idea.
I think we need, a lot of people have questions and We don't really have a way for that other than, you know, the parking lot, which is, you know, could be 2 hours from then. So some of them are the same type of questions. But you know, I think we should be careful with our tone. And you know, make sure that we treat those questions with the same legitimacy as, like, you know, the questions from a donor or somebody like that. Kind of on the same note, I mean, I think it's helpful that we're printing the legislation and having it, but I don't know that, you know, telling folks to read it there, or that we've told them everything they need to know by reading the statute, which is 16 pages of legalese. You know, unless you're a lawyer, nobody's really into that. And then you had talked, I don't want to pick on you for the Shawnee, that was just the one that I remember most, but like the introduction was like 29, 32 minutes. I think, you know, if we could tighten the introduction and the editorializing to make sure that we leave enough time for people to speak, because we're here to hear the neighborhoods talk more than anything. And that's
No, thank you. I appreciate I appreciate that. Let me try to speak to all three of them. If you or any of you all here feel like my tone is poor or in distaste and not representative of the organization, I do apologize. That is never my intention to be dismissive to any of the residents. And so please, and I would ask that you all, I would ask you all to come to me after the meeting and say, I really think you didn't do right to this person, or you didn't treat this person fairly. I in no way would want to do that. And so if I have done that, please do come to me then and tell me. And I will, and if I find a person, I don't know if you all know this or not, but at your meeting in Portland, what's her name? Your councilwoman, Purvis, Donna Purvis was there. And I she wanted to talk about something that had nothing to do with the meeting. And it was about her and Laura were going back and forth. And it was the first one. I kind of took the meeting in a different direction, but I apologized to her publicly. And I don't know if you know this or not, but she and I spoke after the meeting. I went to her privately and apologized to her and told her, hey, in no way would I want to be disrespectful to you. I wouldn't do that. It's not my character. But I do know if we let you and Laura go at it back and forth, we were never going to get anywhere at that meeting. But I want you to know I will apologize if you feel like I do that, and any of you all feel like I do that to any of the people who have done that. Please tell me there, and because of course I'm acting on the spot. I will go and apologize. Secondly, the tone, and I think the third thing was on my editorializing. So I've gotten different points. So Ms. Jackie and the other people are telling me you need to talk and you need to explain and apologize up front and go through it. All these people telling this off the record to me, like the individuals in the front row. And so I thought I would try something differently with this Chinese and really talk and explain it. I thought, and I don't want to say, because this is condescending, but I don't want to say to the people, if you come to my class without reading, you do your homework first, and that's on you. That's not on me. But because I think that's condescending. So what I thought was a good way of doing that was to go through and highlight the main points from the tip that really explain why we're here. We're here because this is what our charge is, and this is where we're trying to go. But if it went too long, I will try my best to cut it. I will do everything I can to get it cut down. But remember, I'm moving on the spot. So, but I will cut that down if that's too long. So, but thank you for the comments.
You're trying different things. So I mean, I respect that. The specific stuff on the legislation, I mean, I don't know, nobody expects people to have read legislation before they come to, I've never gone to a committee meeting and had to have, read stuff first. That college, yes, community meetings, not so much.
Oh no, I agree with that. I'm sorry. That's why I wanted to say, read it now and come back to the 10th meeting. Here, I'm going to explain some of the points. I'm going to explain it from my perspective, the highlights. But I didn't want to. They've asked me several times to give them a one pager and just put the different points. But that's why I use the example of the slave Bible. If I do that, I'm only going to put the things in that I want, and there may be questions that or things that are important to other people that didn't get there. But I mean, granted, I do think the right thing to do is to give them the actual document, because so many of the people and the agendas that I believe are being pushed out there, if they read the document, they'll see that these people are agenda driven, and they're not trying to. Hold on. I'm sorry. Air, too loud. I'm sorry. They're not trying to really see this thing move in a productive format. They're not in a productive manner. They really are trying to, fuss about things that are water under the bridge at this point. And so I think the right thing to do is to counter that by giving people the, original document and telling them, here are the highlights I think are important, and you read it and come back at the 10th meeting, and we'll go through and discuss any of the questions at that point. That's just my approach. I'm of course we didn't have them at the. I don't think we had them at the first one, but I think we've had them at all the subsequent meetings.
We didn't have as many at the first one,
Okay.
but we had plenty. I think Dr. Milliner had a question for you before you have to leave, Dr. Aaron and Alicia. Dr. Milliner?
Yes, just very quickly, I just wanted to say, I wanted to tell you how amazing I think you have done. I don't think that at any point in time I felt like you were speaking down to anyone or cutting people off. I do feel like, sometimes when we're put in a situation where there are a lot of people, like you said, some people who are there to, help the process move along, and other people who aren't, sometimes there's some tension in the room, and people who may not be cognizant of what's going on in the background may see it as someone not giving people the opportunity to speak. But I think you have done an amazing job, and I would hope that we all take a step back and try to put ourselves in Dr. Rollins' position, with trying to not only have these meetings and be kind of the go-between between the neighborhood residents and the partnership, but also help people understand that we are here for them and we are not against them. So I just have to give you, kudos, thumbs up, all the
Well,
I
thank you.
agree
I
with Dr.
appreciate that.
Milliner.
Yeah, doing what you have done, you are amazing. So thank you.
Oh,
I think so also.
thank you. Thank you.
Alicia?
I just had
Cheering up.
I just had one little comment that I wanted to add. I mean, I think Dr. Milliner said it very well. But right now, I think, unfortunately, Doc, you've been placed in a situation where there is mistrust. And then on top of that, what is happening, it gives an impressionation right now that there's division within the WEOP. So, it's the compliment from where I'm sitting, but it's not going to sound like it at first. So stay with me for a second. You are a well-dressed, educated individual. You unfortunately exemplify the very thing that a lot of these neighborhood people don't like. So before you say a word, I know it sounds messed up. Before you say a word, there's already judgment, right? I think it would be a good idea. I don't know how you can incorporate it. I know you did in the meetings that I was in, you did introduce the neighborhood representative. I think that should be one of the first things you do, even in a sense of that neighborhood representative standing beside you. It just gives a reassurance that it's not just you up there talking, that you are connected with the partnership, and it gives a insight of who we are and standing beside you, if that makes sense. It's just a way to visually and collectively at the start of that meeting say, okay, this is not the same person that came before or is trying to, you know what I'm saying, come at you with development plans and take your house and all that stuff. This is not the same person. So I would like to see, if at all possible, at the start of it, to just immediately introduce whoever is representing that neighborhood and have them literally stand with you as you do the introduction.
I think that's an outstanding idea. As a matter of fact, I don't know if you all remember my proposal, but that was a part of the proposal. I thought I would have loved to not take some of this heat. But I will tell you, I wear blue jeans and a t-shirt at the rest of these meetings, I promise you. I'm coming in blue jeans and t-shirt. I may not even take a bath.
Dr. Gabe, who? Dr. Gabe?
Yeah, so I had just two quick things. My first one was, I'm wondering if in advance of the last meeting, I know you said you were planning to sort of have preliminary things that folks could respond to and prioritize. I'm wondering if on our end, to support that last event, if we could have some sort of document that reflects some sort of responses to the questions that have been frequently asked and or answered that have detracted from folks getting to share what they care about or what they want. And then we could just have that handy, saying, hey, here were the big 5 or here were the big 10 questions that emerged that folks really wanted to know, that limited or affected the way they were able to engage. And so we can have that there, and hopefully that would allow us to proceed with folks getting to share their priorities a little more. But the other thing that I will say is that, so obviously the Russell neighborhood meeting was a tough one, but one of the things that it really drove home for me was, I think with the exception of one person, every single person in that room who had vocalized concerns, I have had one-on-one conversations with them about those concerns and walked through the legislation with them, talked through the answers to their questions. But when they were in the space, they still showed up the same way with the same questions, right? And that to me drove home that, more than anything, people just want to be heard because they feel like they're frustrated and people aren't listening to them. And so it didn't even matter that I had talked to them about it. I had tried to answer questions. I had worked through the legislation. I had came back with questions for the board and then went back to them. It was more just no, today, y'all gonna hear me because I've been wanting somebody to hear me and I don't feel like nobody's heard me. So y'all gonna get this today. And so I just feel like on that level, it's not you. Obviously it's also not us in this room. It's just we're up against all of history. And ultimately what it's going to come down to is what we do and us being able to show folks who we are and what we're about. Obviously we still got to be able to get to that point. But yeah, we're gonna have to show them, just like you said. But I wonder if the FAQ sheet or something like that could work. But anyway, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I think that's an outstanding idea that you all can potentially do if you all have time before the April 2nd meeting, to say, hey, here's some of the things that they've asked, and I can even probably get them to you. Do I know the answers? I'm telling you, I genuinely believe some people, they don't care to know the answers. They don't care that, they just, some people genuinely are not there to see this thing be a success. So I don't even know if the FAQ sheet will, suffice. I don't know the answer, but I do know that I can go to bed at night, and hopefully you all know that we're trying to do the right thing. I'm gonna say we're trying to do it, give these people the opportunity to get their voices heard, and hopefully you all as a board will take this. And I'm happy that, and let me just thank you all. For those of you who've been to almost all of them, I mean, thank you all for being there. It really says to these people that, that we're not some boogeyman. It's like some boogeyman behind the closed doors doing these things, because there's some narratives out there that the fix is already in. I'll just say, to be honest, that the fix is already in, and they have their planet people here to do this. And the narrative is, I'm one of the planet people, and I'm saying, y'all, I don't even know the people. I don't even know all these people y'all got. They telling me some names of developers who are, just waiting on this to get through so they can come in and take all the money and sweep it out. And I'm saying, y'all, I promise you, I don't even know these people that you're referencing. And I swear to you, there's not enough money in the world. There's not enough money in the world that will make me do wrong by people, particularly marginalized people and people who are out here hurting. It's not enough money in the world for me. And I'm sure you all are the same way, and you're not here to do that. You wouldn't be a part of that. And that's why I don't mind taking some of the heat and even, taking some of the fussing, because I know that genuinely we're trying to do the right thing. And this is unique, it's different, and they don't understand. I don't know a better way. I'm trying to figure a nice way to say, or a clean way to say, your tax dollars have been going to one pot, spread out everywhere but here. At least now your tax dollars will be spread out here. I can't get that. I'm trying to find a creative way. And I'm thinking, if you have to help me, think of a creative way to say, your tax dollars for years have been going to this big pot and divvied up here and there. Right now, 80% of your tax dollars, new tax dollars, will come here and go through this pot. And stay here. Hopefully stay in the high people here and do things here.
Yeah.
And the fact that people don't want to see that, it baffles me. And so that's where some of if I am frustrated, Mike, let me go back to Mike 1 second. If I am frustrated, it's because I know that's unique, that's different. You don't get that. And so it's a scary thing to some people, but if they really sit down and think about it, I'm trying to get these questions out because I want the board to know, here's what the people say they want this, where they want this money. And so I know you're trying to take this on another path, and some of the questions I kind of skipped through because I know that that's unique, that's big, that can be impactful, that can help these hurting people. And for the individuals that I feel aren't, or the narratives that aren't trying to help that or promote that, I hate, and I try to keep a calmness, even when people are attacking me personally. Somebody else should have your job, or one of the people at the Russell neighborhood was one of my former students that would have the mask on. I didn't know until afterwards. She was like, "Oh, wait a minute. Well, maybe they should have somebody to do the work." I said, "Well, how do you?" I remember the question was, "How do you think we should have gotten the word out?" Well, maybe they hired somebody that would look at best practices and wasn't from around here. I didn't know that was one of my former students until after the meeting when she came. And I said, "I wish I would have known, because I would have said." No, I'm not going to tell you what I would have said. but I'm saying, so she knew me. I didn't know that was her because she had the mask on. But I'm thinking, like, we know that this is unique for this community. And to detract away from these people's voices getting heard by you saying the same thing at every meeting, I think it's agenda driven, and so I apologize for on behalf of me, because I kind of, although I don't, but I kind of represent the board standing up there. I apologize, to you all if I come off as though I'm putting people down, but I will try my best to do better moving forward and wear my blue jeans and t-shirt.
Dr. Rollins, you touched on just the last comment I was going to make when Dr. Gabe talked about, the frequently asked questions. And one of my observations being at all the meetings, and it takes everybody a while to understand the legislation if you're going to purposely try to read it and understand it and ask questions. But the whole tax increment financing piece is still major confusion for people, because people refer to the organization as the TIF meeting. We are not a TIF. We are not a tax increment financing organization. We have a resource tool, because this entity could exist even if the TIF were not a part of the legislation. And people don't understand that. The tax increment financing piece, you just said it, because I wanted to ask the questions, but I don't say anything. I was like, well, where do you think your taxes go on a regular basis? You know, it could be in another county in Kentucky. It could be to expand 65 or 64. You absolutely have no say all this time. Now you have 20 years where 80% of that increase comes back to your neighborhood. Nobody else in the Commonwealth has that opportunity. And so people want to look at this as a bad thing. I'm like, how's that a bad thing when the money is coming to your neighborhood? You control that money for 20 years will come to your neighborhood. So I think there may be an opportunity to work a little bit more after this is over with regard to educating people on what the tax increment financing is. People look at the Yum Center and they look at all of these other, there's no comparison
Right.
of what this legislation is with the TIF that they did for the Yum Center. There is absolutely no comparison.
Right.
And so I think that's a challenge for people to understand as well.
And let me add one thing to that. I really was going to go into more about what a TIF is, the last one, but I think I went too long at first, and I was like, let me just get on to the questions. But I didn't even get to describing the
Yeah.
TIF at the most
Yeah.
recent meeting.
Yeah.
I think just
So-
one thing that, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I just say that was it. Go ahead, Dr. Gabe.
So I've been thinking about this, like, I think about it all the time, just because folks in my neighborhood are asking me about it and come to me with questions often. And so one of the things that I've noticed is, so last year I went to a conference, and at that conference were people from all over the country who were working on community-led initiatives. And I talked to folks who had started community land trusts and community co-ops and just all different kinds of things. And when I told them, so I told them about the partnership and the board that I was on, and I was partially like, you know what I mean? Like, ready to put my defense up, like preparing for them to tell me how terrible it was. But they all, like, every single person that I talked to about it felt positively, because they said it solved a key issue that their organizations and their initiatives ran into. And so what I've been trying to unpack is how we address the local context that is giving us so many issues, because I think that's a big thing. It is not perfect. Like, but I mean, it is not a perfect tool by any means.
Right.
But what I ultimately also land on too, though, is something that this community engagement board is going to have to work through, is that to the extent that folks don't understand, or the extent to folks don't recognize any benefits, or to the extent that folks have genuine, earnest questions about the potential threats, those are things that I think, ultimately need to address. So I think it may be that we have sessions on what is a TIF? How is this TIF different as far as community engagement looking forward? But I have a whole list of things that I think that we need to do going forward to address several of the issues that we're facing. But I just wanted to throw that out there.
So
Any other questions?
Mhm.
Anybody have any other questions or anything?
I think Dr. Gabe is right. Communications, the responsibility of the communicator. If people don't understand it, that's our problem. It's not theirs. We need to focus on how to make them, understand what we're trying to do, what our intentions are. And, maybe we should have had that before these meetings. But, I think that's going to have to come at some point. And then, I think once things do start getting funded, people, we'll show our values through what we fund, but, this is
Yeah.
all a learning experience for all of us. So let's make sure that there are no signs. We're all working together, trying to improve our areas.
So I see
Chris?
coming in the chat. Are we
Chris, you're on. Chris is on.
oh, sorry. Okay.
Yeah, we're not addressing chat on this call, Dr.
Okay.
Rollins. We acknowledge it and see it, but we don't, address the chat box. But Chris wanted to say something.
Yeah, I just think that this is just the beginning of the Community Engagement Committee. I think that we're going to have to continue to engage with the community. And I think we need to be working with the marketing department to make sure that, we're getting more information out, that we're reaching the right homes and addresses. I know that when we were sending that stuff out, we probably didn't hit a lot of people. With those questions that we're getting that we aren't answering, we need to have some place to answer those questions, most definitely, because we have to communicate with the folks. If they're asking us questions, they get to 3 minutes, they can't talk. We're not, responding to the questions in the chat. So that right there is eroding any trust that we could get. So I think we just need to, as the Community Engagement Committee, engage with the community in all the ways that we can. That's all
I think that's an excellent suggestion, Chris.
Yeah, me too.
Being out in front of the people and, maybe after these sessions are done, this committee may want to think about what the next rollout for community engagement sessions will be. Maybe it's where the board comes together and just have open mic to address questions, but you've got to have some, organization to that. But I think it's an excellent idea. Because there's lots of truths out there, but there's lots of misinformation as well. And I was just one of the ones that I hear a lot too is this organization hasn't even invested the first dollar, but people want to point to the partnership as being the cause of gentrification, of people losing their homes. And from what I understand and from what I see, that's been taking place for quite a while. And so there's got to be that piece you talk about, Chris, so that you can engage with the community so people can at least hear the facts and then they can do with them what they want to. Dr. Rollins, you're going to be late for your meeting. If are there any other questions? I know Dr. Gabe is off camera and I've been trying to help him move along here. Anybody have any more questions or comments or thoughts?
See, Michael.
Mike, is your hand still up or is that a new question?
Mm-hmm.
I thought Mike's hand was up, but I didn't know if that was still up from before.
No, he just didn't take it down.
Okay.
Right, Mike? Okay. Yeah. Okay, well, tomorrow we'll see you all in Chickasaw, Thursday, Algonquin, and the next Thursday, Park Hill, and then finally, the last one will be the makeup session. Okay? Dr. Gabe, are we in adjournment?
Yes, I believe we still need to approve the minutes from
yes.
So if we could do that really quickly, and I will just bring it up right now. I think the way to say it, the question is the approval of the minutes from the February board meeting, from the February, community committee meeting. Yeah, is everybody?
I motion that we approve the board meeting minutes.
Second.
I like how y'all moving this evening. Thank you. That was very nice. Very nice. Thank you, Brother Romaine and Dr. M. I appreciate y'all. Does anybody else have anything? Otherwise, I move to adjourn the meeting. All right, y'all.
Thank you, everyone. See you tomorrow. Thanks a lot.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.